Hello, welcome to Astro Insights Live. My name is Jennifer Rose, and I'm here with my sweet wife, astrologer Mel Rose. Say good morning, Mel.
Good morning, Mel.
I knew you were going to do that, so I kind of set you up for that. Good morning. We are Jen and Mel Rose. We are a part of Rose Tarot and Astrology, and we are here to talk to you about the astrology for the week ahead. Happy Aries season. Happy spring. We've been enjoying some very warm temperatures here in Kansas City, Missouri. As a matter of fact, I think yesterday I got up to 91 degrees and our air conditioning has officially been turned on.
Yeah.
So we've been
Mhm.
having some great, gorgeous weather, and I hope that that is where I hope that that's your experience as well. But we're definitely feeling the push of Aries season. We've been busy working, working, working. And my wife down here is an Aries, and her birthday is March 30th. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers. We would like to keep our content free of charge, so subscribing helps keep this content free. And if you would, give us a comment, share this with other people, and tune in every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and see what the next week in astrology is all about and how that might affect you and your world. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Melrose for Astrology Today portion. And then stay tuned after Melrose talks about the astrology for the week. Mel and I will get back together and we're going to talk about our favorite astrology for the week or our astrological aspect. And then we'll do
Mhm.
a live card reading for the week. Okay. So, again, here's Melrose.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for being here, everybody. Welcome back to Astro Insights. I am your astrologer, Mel Rose, and I am here to share with you the astrology of the week ahead. Very quickly, I just want to look back on last week and say that we had St. Patrick's Day and we had the new moon in Pisces with a lot of attendant astrology with that. And we had the spring equinox with its own attendant astrology, including that last week was the last week of Mercury, of this most recent Mercury retrograde. So, uh, you know, slowing down for a minute just to say that it has been a busy week and we're going to go back and talk a little bit about that, especially with the spring equinox having just arrived on Friday, which makes me so excited and happy. Excuse me. Today, it's Sunday, March 22nd, and the sun is in Aries and the moon is in Taurus. Now, the moon is a waxing crescent moon. So right now, this is a time when we are perceiving what it is going to be like to actually execute our plans, so that we have something around the time of our full moon in a couple of weeks to say that we've managed to accomplish. Okay, this is the time where we're sort of gathering our resources. Moon in Taurus, we are making sure that we have all of the stuff and things that we need, that is of the value that we need it to be, to move forward with our plans. And with the moon in Taurus and the sun in Aries, because the sun in Aries it's really just fiery. It's that spark of life. It's that first green shoot you see coming up through the ground. It's that first yellow daffodil you see blooming. With the sun in Aries, we feel a lot of initiative. We feel that the warmth of the sun. We feel it, on the inside and the outside, and we really begin to begin. This is the time for the beginnings. This is the time when you've been making plans. You've been thinking about what it is that you want to achieve. You've been thinking about what you might have considered to be New Year's Eve resolutions, right? But this is the time to really be getting started and enacting the plans, especially because we still have Saturn and Neptune close enough to conjunct to still call them conjunct at the beginning of Aries. So as each planet moves into the first degrees of the entire zodiac, it joins up with Saturn and Neptune, and that's what's going to happen this week. The sun just moved into Aries, and today the sun meets up with Neptune. it at the beginning of Aries, at the beginning degree of Aries. So this is a big beginning. This is a big fresh start. And where the sun is concerned, that has to do with yours and mine. It has to do with our outward facing lives. So our work life, our social life, our civic life, how we engage with our community, the people that we work with, the people we buy and sell from, the people that we, have to deal with, just for all of our regular routine daily things. Uh, got a little lost there. So Sun is conjuncting Neptune today. So the Sun is that's what that this. Let me come back. The Sun is our work, social, and civic life friends. So that's conjuncting with Neptune, and that puts those two things together under pressure. And so the Sun is your work, social, and civic life, and Neptune is really like the dream. Neptune is the place where our spirituality takes us. Neptune is art, and it is creativity, and it is religious and spiritual devotion. That's where we get those things, is from Neptune. And Neptune has just recently crossed over into Aries. So our approach, Neptune spent the last 13 years in Pisces, where it rules, where it's comfortable, but really creating a lot of fog and mystery for us, and also giving us lots of reasons to be cleared of these mysteries and these illusions. Now Neptune is in Aries, and it's like this fire comes in and burns off the rest of the fog, and the old illusions are burned away. And now, when we create art, when we express ourselves, we're going to do it in a new, more forthright way. We're going to do it in an interest of taking care of ourselves first. I'm going to take care of me, and you're going to take care of you, and secondarily, we're going to take care of each other, because that's the way the new paradigm is going to work. So Sun conjuncting Neptune, it may feel a little bit intense today. It may feel a little bit dreamy. It may feel, you may have a dream. If you don't normally remember your dreams, you might remember them. Or you may have some sort of a moment that feels like you're spiritually connected, to the great big all of everything around you, or to the people around you. Notice that. Take notice of the new feeling of that spark of energy and sort of joy of life, and that drive to be active and do something about it. Notice that today. Yes. And then getting on into tomorrow. Tomorrow and Tuesday are relatively slow astrologically, except that the moon tomorrow, on Monday, the 23rd, goes into Gemini. So moon in Gemini, this is a time when we are expressing ourselves. This is a time where we share our dreams, we share our creativity. It's almost like that sun conjuncting the Neptune, and then the moon moves into Gemini. It's giving us an opportunity to express ourselves in that new, more forthright sort of way, that joy of life sort of way, but also that, like, let's take action, let's get direct, let's just take care of this business right now sort of way. So Moon in Gemini encourages us to communicate, to express ourselves. And even if we're not communicating with others, which I really encourage, get your collaborators together, let them know what you're working on, what you're thinking about. But even if you're not communicating with others like that, it might be a good time to be expressing yourself in writing, or making videos, taking pictures, whatever kind of artistic frame of mind you want to be in, that helps you express what it is that you feel that's coming in that's new. And then on Wednesday, that's the next big astrology. And on Wednesday, the sun is still with us, doing a lot of the action this week. Okay. So that's our work, social, and civic lives, and how we interact with other people out in the world. The sun is going to conjunct with Saturn. And this is where sort of like the rubber meets the road, because that's the sun combined under pressure with Saturn. Saturn is serious business. It's about our structures, our foundations, the things that we rely on, to to really keep ourselves feeling afloat as though we have the supplies we need, the foundations we need, the roof over our head, that kind of stuff. That's what Saturn is. So, you know, I know somebody who has, I know somebody who has some bills coming due on Wednesday. You know, I know that there are going to be some serious consequences, or at least the outcome of some serious efforts, or some financial efforts, or some time sensitive efforts, are going to be seen on Wednesday, and it might be a little bit intense. We're going to have to, you know, it's going to necessitate probably some conversations with people in our work, social, and civic lives. Like, hey, listen, this is serious business, and we have to, we have to be on the same page about it. We have to understand one another here. Now, after that happens, right after the sun moves on into Saturn, and that's very early on Wednesday, the moon moves on into Cancer. So becomes less about expressing and sharing information, and it becomes more about what we care about personally in our private lives, in our home lives, those people we keep extra close, and how we nurture ourselves and nurture our homes and nurture the people that we have in our homes. So uh, that personal vibe is still like that social vibe is still very Aries. It's still very active and direct. But on Wednesday, the moon calls us home to take care of ourselves as well. Don't forget, if you're going to be out in the sun working all day, if you're going to be out being active and pursuing whatever it is that you're trying to create, that's wonderful. That is very much encouraged right now at this time of year. But you do have to stop and drink water. You do have to stop and refresh yourself. Don't forget to feed yourself. Don't forget to take rest. It's actually very important. Okay. Rest is very productive. You can be more productive if you take rest, I promise. So definitely take care of yourselves, especially Wednesday. Things start to get a little intense, because also on Wednesday, that afternoon, the sun is going to sextile Pluto. So, sextile is a very cooperative vibration. It looks like a little wheel or a little asterisk, and it sort of indicates like a cog turning. Okay, so it's something that makes things work. It's a gear in the machine that gets things going and gives us a productive output, right? So, that's our work, social, and civic lives, the sun, and Pluto, which is this long, slow transformation that we are seeing ourselves go through. And there are parts of it that we can see, and there are parts of it that we definitely can't. But if you can see what's coming down the pike, okay, if you can see what it is that's changing around us, because there's a lot of stuff changing around us. If you can see what's changing around us, now is the time to say, okay, I want to be on the leading edge of what is changing. I want to be embracing this change to the point where I know how I'm responding to it in the most up to the minute way. Okay, so especially in our work, social, and civic lives, if there's a change you've been hesitating to make, but you know that it's coming down the pike, I really encourage you just to open up and embrace it. Otherwise, it might kind of ruffle your feathers when it comes in, because definitely things are changing, things are moving forward. Something on Wednesday feels very serious. Something on Wednesday feels very structural, and that's for us personally and collectively. And then it also feels related to what is changing, what is going to be the next and the new for you, because the old stuff is going away. And on Wednesday, I really encourage you also to notice what you've put behind you, and remind yourself that I put those things behind me for a reason. And I don't always have to go back and reflect on the reasons. I can just say to myself, no, I put that behind me, and I can move ahead with the plans that I have. Okay. Sometimes it's tempting to lean on old habits or old friends or old ways of relating with people, but you know that that doesn't work anymore. Okay. And that's coming up on Thursday too. That is one of the themes this week is, remembering not to lean on old habits of friendship. Okay, don't lean on old codependent ways of doing things. We want, with Venus conjuncting Chiron on Thursday in Aries again, we want to solve a problem where it has to do with how we relate to people, how we get what we want from people, right? Because because we can be manipulative. If we can be manipulative, we can be underhanded sometimes. We have these, conscious and unconscious ways of sort of, like, talking people into doing things for us or talking people into helping us out, and, that can be a problem because people walk away feeling manipulated. So there's something here with that, um, Venus conjuncting Chiron in Aries that says, no, what's going to happen here? And I know I already said this today, so that's twice in this in this missive. Uh, that I'm going to take care of me, okay? Because this is happening in Aries. I am is the statement for Aries. It's about who you are being and like recognizing that you are an individual. Now we are, as individuals are all part of a collective, and when individuals interact with each other, they are in relationship with one another. But Aries recognizes the individual. So it's like I am going to take care of myself and make sure that I am getting what I need, right? And you're going to take care of yourself and make sure that you're getting what you need. And then secondarily, we're going to take care of one another and make sure one another get what we need when it comes to those relationships, those partnerships that are very important to us. Okay. I really think that's the guidance that's coming through with Venus conjunct Chiron on Thursday. And then on Friday, excuse me, drinking a lot of water. It was 90 degrees yesterday. On Friday, the moon moves on into Leo. And, uh, sometimes when I hear people describe the moon in Leo, at this point, the moon is a waxing gibbous. So that at this point, we're really being active. We're really invited to be active in completing some of our tasks that bring us closer to our larger goals, so that by the time we have that full moon next week, we can say, "Yay, I did it! I got some stuff done." Right? So, this Friday, that waxing gibbous moon moves on into Leo, and people will say that the moon in Leo is about like it being your time to shine and be magnificent. And definitely, we can feel pretty fabulous when the moon is in Leo. When the moon is in Leo, I think it's pretty fun to get dressed up because maybe because I have my Venus in a fire sign, but um, I think it's fun to get dressed up when the moon is in Leo because it just shows us how flashy we can be and how beautiful we can feel to ourselves. I think that is great. But I also think that the moon in Leo has to do with the things in our personal lives that we are in charge of or supposed to be in charge of. I think we take these days that the moon is in Leo to kind of return in our private lives to the things that we're supposed to be in charge of and attend to those things, like take care of business. So, for example, in my home, I am in charge of doing the laundry. And so when that moon comes around to Leo, if I have not taken care of the laundry, that's going to be one of my top priorities because that's one of the things that I'm in charge of here at home. And then on Saturday, the 28th, now this is actually the really big astrology of the coming week because the Saturday, the 28th, is when Saturn and Pluto have their second of two sextiles. Now, these are two larger outer planets. Saturn moves much faster than Pluto, but Saturn still takes 3 years to transit one single sign, right? So I Saturn sextiling Pluto is a much bigger deal. It has more to do with us collectively, Saturn being our collective structures that we rely on for support, our governments, our institutions, our even our uh like our networks of plumbing and electricity and the World Wide Web, those kind of structures that we rely on. And then Pluto is the overall sort of cultural evolutionary change that we are going through right now, which, if you're paying attention, we are on the verge of some changes. The fighting that we see right now, the conflict that we see right now in the world is very much astrologically supported, I would say. We're going through a bunch of new beginnings at this point that in the past where we went through these beginnings in astrology, and that could be, I could be talking about 3 years ago, I could be talking about like 200 years ago. like the conflict was there, and there were similar conflicts even to the ones that we're fighting right now. So we see what the trajectory of the change is. We can look back on those past conflicts and see what the trajectory of the change is. And I'm asking you to put yourself on, the positive, optimistic, hopeful, loving, caring, supportive side of those evolutionary changes that we're trying to go through as a collective. I want you to really try to put yourself on the leading edge of those changes, because that's where Saturn is going to go to work. Okay. This came up for us in August last year, Saturn sextile Pluto. And the sextile makes things work. Like I said, it's a cog in the machine that gets things going and gives us creative output. And so with Saturn, our structure, the foundation on which we live, going through these evolutionary changes and really wanting to cooperate with these evolutionary changes, you can look back to August of last year and say, what are the changes I was trying to make last August? Because I can look back at my August last year and say that I felt very optimistic about what I was trying to do. And although what I was trying to do kind of crumbled or had some setbacks, I definitely, when I was doing it, was very happy with what I was doing. And so now I find myself in the same position, like trying to do somewhat the same kind of thing, but having reworked how I'm going to do it, because I want to do it in a way that's successful. So that's what I mean by kind of getting out in front of the change, because there's a change happening in my life. There's a metamorphosis that I am going through, personally and professionally. And so I really want to be at the leading edge of that. I want to really be embracing that change, actively saying, I am here, for this change. I am here for this next iteration, this next part of my evolution and our collective evolution. I really encourage you to do that. And then next Sunday, the moon will move on into Scorpio. That is the 29th of March. Moon in Scorpio is that time when we kind of turn within. Like now, we went out and we said, this is what I'm in charge of. I'm going to take care of business. I'm going to shine a little. I'm going to look fabulous. I'm the sun and I'm the moon in Leo. And then Sunday, the moon goes into Scorpio, and it's really like, okay, now I'm going to turn within and ask myself, have all my actions been an authentic representation of who I am and who I wish to be in the world? We spend a couple days every month reflecting on that. And then the 30th is my birthday, and that's the day the moon goes in not the moon. That's the day Venus goes into Taurus. So I'm looking forward to a lovely day that day. Friends, it's big astrology this week. We've got those two sun conjunctions with Neptune and Saturn. We've got the sun working with Pluto. We've got Saturn working with Pluto. Soon we'll have Neptune working with Pluto. Like this is big astrology, and it has to do with our personal stability. It has to do with our ability to lay foundations at this time that will support us in the coming 20 or 30 years. So if you feel like you're being called upon to do a lot of hard work, I'm going to say don't forget to try to do smart work as well. But there is definitely labor coming up for a lot of us these days, and just not just physical labor. There's that mental labor. There's also that emotional labor that you have to do to stay in the game, to help other people stay in the game, and to remain focused on those objectives that you have. Okay, but this is the time. This is the time to be beginning, to be getting started on everything you want to do for the next 30 years. I swear. Okay. I'm going to ask Jennifer to come back to us so we can each discuss our favorite astrology of this time, and then we'll get on to our tarot card reading at the end. Hi, honey.
Hello.
Welcome back.
I'm here. I think I need. Oh, I can hear myself. Okay. Just navigating through the microphone-ionios. Okay, so we're here. We're going to talk about our favorite astrological aspect for this week. So, Mel, do you want to get started, or do you want to take a breather? And
No, please go ahead and give me a moment.
okay, well, I am really a big fan of Mercury going direct, and I'm not certain how much Mel talked about it because didn't it just go direct a couple of days ago on the 20th?
Yeah, I was talking about this coming week, and this happened on Friday, but it is important to point out that
Right.
Mercury just went direct with the spring equinox on Friday.
Right. So, it's really good timing, I think, but what happened to me, like Mercury was just really something. Honestly, I didn't notice a lot of Mercury issues during the time, what is it, like 3 weeks or so, until the
Mhm,
end when it was going direct. And I'll tell you, like, if I could feel a planet shake, I felt that one shaking. So I DoorDash right now, and I had the I had just directions telling me that I was in the wrong place, and they were just repetitive over and over and over again. And the direction lady that was talking was all of a sudden it would just be and then rewind. It was almost like somebody was there with a cassette tape, like old school. Um, and then I had one order and then I had 3, which I didn't accept the other 2, but all of a sudden I'm like shopping for 3 or 4 people and everything just went haywire. Nothing worked when I went to the counter and I couldn't get a hold of anyone. And it was really just it just really felt shaky. It just really felt bumpy. And I thought, if you just put everything down, like I was filling out something on my phone or doing something as far as DoorDash is concerned. Oh, I was putting in the weight of some bananas. When you're grocery shopping for people, you have to do that,
mhm,
right? And you just click in there and there are numbers that pop up. Well, every time I clicked in there, you could see the number thing, pin pad popping up, but something stopping it, and it's not blocked from doing it because I've been doing it. And I really just I reset my phone. I didn't know what to do, but it was not okay, Mercury. This was not okay. Wobbling out the plank. This is not country
Mercury!
road. Mercury. And but I have to say that I was prepared for Mercury retrograde this time in a different kind of way, as opposed to expecting like some communication failures. I was just really looking at the communication itself on a surface level, and then we
Mhm,
see what happens, like what shook out, literally what was shaking out after what happened. And it just kind of
mhm,
like gave me specks of, oh, I see. So I feel like the equinoxes, the spring equinox, the eclipses, Aries season, all of this forward motion in Aries. Like I even drew tarot cards for myself all week last week, and I kept getting in the chariot. It was like I was like, anything I asked, it was like, "Yeah, go, go, go," and I'm like, "Okay, Aries season." I got the 8 of Wands this morning too. I got 3 or 4 Wands cards, which is
mhm,
unusual for me. I'm the Venus and you're the Mars. But I do like the action. I have honestly, Mel can attest to this. I've been very active these last few days. The
mhm,
medication helps. But I do feel the energy, the spring. I'm out there at 6:30 this morning pulling up leaves and stuff in the backyard because the sun hadn't come up.
mhm,
So I'm really happy that Mercury is going forward. I feel like those things have kind of already shaken out. And
mhm,
now just figuring out the new communication going forward. The new way in which I respond to that which I've dealt with, seen, heard,
mhm,
etc., and just deal with it right now and just move on because there's really no time in dealing with a lot of dramatic, drawn out
mhm,
explanations and things when there is something else out there. Like I think I've been wasting time on other things and having this pause and not trying to push forward a business. Like last time we were pushing a business forward, and as a matter of fact, we had found a place, but we were trying not to sign a contract because of Mercury retrograde, and really we should have not been looking for a place. So of course I started out Mercury retrograde looking for a new business place, right? I started
Yeah.
looking as something different for that, and started thinking about, what's our new way forward. And then I abandoned that and started dealing with my actual interpersonal relationships and that's where I actually just got the good nugget of information from Mercury retrograde and Mercury going direct. But woo, she was shaky.
Yes. Well, and it's appropriate, the way you described that, because, Mercury was not just retrograde. Mercury was retrograde in Pisces, which doesn't do well in Pisces. Think about trying to talk to somebody underwater. That's basically it. So Mercury went retrograde in Pisces, and it didn't feel like much because, probably, like I said, you needed to be paying attention to what was not being said. For real, it was really that stuff that you couldn't hear, the things that were in the subtext. So I hope y'all were paying attention to your subtexts. And then on Friday, when Mercury went direct, it was still in Pisces. So yeah, it stations, it wobbles a little, and then it goes forward. But in Pisces, it doesn't go forward quickly. Again, we're waiting in the water. We're trying to communicate in the water. And we're just looking. Pisces is like the place where everything comes out in the wash. So you're just like looking at where those efforts get you, right? You're like, oh, it's interesting how this worked out. You look at where those efforts get you, and then you have information that you need, that you can reflect on when it's time for you to go out and achieve some more.
Yes.
Yeah. Because very soon, Mercury will move on into Aries, where it will join the Sun and Venus and Neptune and Saturn. So it'll be all Aries all the time, friends.
Well, I'm definitely ready for this Aries season. I'm really sick and tired of sitting around, and I'm sick and tired of waiting on things to happen. And I think a lot of us can feel like, it just felt like my feet were cemented somehow, somewhere, or, drowning underwater, the whole Pisces, scenario. Like it just,
Like lead in my ass, for real. Yeah.
right. So now that is the different, I mean, like I wake up and I'm like, woo woo. And I know that it's the spring, but it's really something different.
Yeah.
And I'm glad for that. I think it's just like a new life coming about.
I think so.
What
So
about you?
yay.
Did you
What do I want to say? I want to pick one from this week. I want to say, because the theme of this came up like 2 or 3 times. Look, this week is going to be challenging. There's going to be some intensity. It's going to have a lot to do with what's happening in your work, social, and civic lives. It's going to have a lot to do with what's happening in the collective. So a lot of what's going to be happening is a lot of that means a lot of having to take care of ourselves in response to what it is we're seeing and learning and encountering and experiencing. Okay. And that Venus conjunct Chiron in Aries, I think, is very impactful this week, because there is a lot of serious stuff happening, and there are a lot of serious changes we're undergoing. There's a lot of conflict out there in the world. And we still have to keep pushing forward and trying to make our dreams happen. We still have to keep doing that. So there's a message that comes through Thursday that, with this stuff happening in Aries, that, like, I am responsible for getting to me what I want first and foremost. Okay. Venus in Aries is I'm responsible for getting what I want. Okay. I have to ask for it out loud. If I can't get it just by asking for it, then I got to figure out how to get it. So those of us who have been relying on others more than we need to are going to have to take a step back and say, hey, that might not be available to me right now. And when it's not, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to take care of myself first and foremost. You're going to take care of yourself first and foremost. And then secondarily, number 2 on that list is we take care of one another. We look after one another. Okay. So that if I'm not taking the best possible care of myself, and you can see that, Jennifer, you'll say, babe, have you had any water to drink today?
Mhm.
What was the last
Yes.
thing you ate? You know?
Usually
So
your
it's
afternoon
not like
coffee
we don't
rush
look
is
out
when
for each
I try to
other,
give.
but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I know we're having a rush. I'm sorry. It's usually your afternoon coffee rush where I'm telling you it's water. It should be water. It should be water.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not like we don't take care of one another. It's just that we're letting go of some old sort of codependent ways of being where we expect somebody to take care of us in a certain way that we're not necessarily asking them for, okay? And from now on, I really think it's going to be like it's up to you to get what you need. And you at least are going to have to ask. You can't just expect people to do for you because you need help and you haven't asked.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the big messages of this week. That and friends, please, if you see the changes that are happening in your life, get out on the front of it. Like really do what you can to embrace the change that you need to. If there's something that you've got to quit doing, you're going to have to quit doing it. If there's something that you have to get started on, now is the time to absolutely be taking action. And if there are 3 things that are stopping you from taking the initiating action that you want to, then those are the initiating actions that you need to take care of. If that's a conversation you need to have with somebody, if that's something that you need to apply for, if that's something that you need to, purchase or invite into your life, then go ahead and do those preliminary things so that you can start taking action on really your plans for the next days, months, and years ahead. This is when we're
Yeah,
planting
that's
seeds, friends. This is when the fire is starting. We didn't start the fire, but it really flares up at this time of year.
so you gotta be careful or you're gonna start a fire. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yes. And when people show you who they are, believe them. If you're out there putting in an application or whatever, a lot of people will show you who they are. And, like sometimes you make a choice to bypass that because there's something else. Like, oh, this person that I'm applying to, like they asked me this inappropriate question and it made me feel alarmed. Like I've had a lot of weird interviews. And as a matter of fact, I had an interview where the director got fired after my interview and I ended up a manager, which was not the plan at all. But it was because of my interview that he got fired. And you know, you really it's a good time to know your priorities and
Mhm.
a hierarchy of them, and not putting anyone else before yourself, like Mel said, is really important. Not money, not anything, like not putting anything or anyone else in front beside yourself. So if this
Mhm.
thing isn't good for you on these levels and you have no control over changing those things, then they probably shouldn't be consumed or they probably need to go. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
Yeah.
again, if someone shows you who they are, believe them. Whatever version it is, wherever you're at in life, believe them. I have a
Yeah.
hard time doing that. I don't know why, because I just always, it's weird. I just always see the best version of somebody. I make up a version of somebody and then I see who they are. I'm like, why do I do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we will do that, especially if we're looking for a job or something. We make something a lot better because we want it, because we desire it, because our ego is after it. And you know,
It's like Jesse Gemstone giving the Redeemer to his cousins, and then he
yeah,
immediately regrets it. He says it was too big a gift.
right, right. And after they, got in it, like they had gotten into the Redeemer without asking, and they had gotten in
Mhm.
trouble, and he gave it to them. And that was strange, and I understand that on a lot of levels.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, they might never ever have a redeemer, but that's
Well,
not
and
necessarily
but they also turned around and betrayed him, so,
yes,
like,
right,
yes, his trust and his gift, they were too much, and he recognized that.
yes. We are Righteous Gemstones fans. I think I've watched every season of it 100 times, and I'll probably watch it again.
Probably. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to wrap up our favorite astrology for this week. I'm so glad that Mercury is going direct, and now we're going to turn over to live tarot portion. Woo! Ha! Like magic. Here we are. Here we are. And I want to say this aloud because I don't know that we talk about it very much, and I'm going to put this up here um just so you can see. But Mel and I do offer private readings. If you are available, we can do video readings, and we can also do recorded video readings, especially if you're tuning into us here on YouTube. What we can do is we can make a special link that we send to you and only you, and you can watch that recording as many times as you want. You can go back and refer to it if you'd like. But we offer these readings for $60, and you get both Mel and I for up to 40 minutes. So there's a way that you can text or email us. I've been putting all these things up during our show just while I learn. But I do want to let you know that we are practicing tarot card readers. And even if you are, 1,000 miles away in another state, we can definitely read cards for you. It's
Mhm.
$60 and up to 40 minutes.
And
And now, huh?
the benefit of getting the both of us is that I'm the Mars and Jennifer is the Venus. Okay, so
Yes,
I'm the assertive principal and she's the receptive principal.
right.
And that gives you two different perspectives when you get your reading, and you can just sort of talk it out with us from there. Yeah.
It's a full circle reading, is what that is. It gives you a Wheel
Hmm.
of Fortune kind of vibe.
Hmm.
Where Mel and I agree, we also disagree. It's really an equal balance, and it's not like sometimes it could get down to a heated kind of exchange, but we are just really opposite in a lot of ways. But we've been together, what, 11, 12 years now, so obviously something works. The balance works for us, and we've figured it out somehow.
We like
So
each other. We like each other.
yeah, we also
I
like and
think
love
what's
each other.
interesting when we do those readings together is that, there are things that we don't necessarily agree on, or we're looking at it from different perspectives, and so that gives you a couple of different perspectives to see something from. But then there are things that will really merge and we'll be like, "Oh, we both agree on this."
Mhm.
And
Yes, and
that
I can say in
yeah.
history, when we both merge on something, we have given individual readings to people without knowing the same people and given the same advice. And
Mhm.
so far, our advice has been warranted. Let's just say
Yeah.
that. That we're pretty accurate. So, anyway, just a shameless plug for our tarot reading services. And if you're local, we are going to be putting on some events. We'll be available at some events and doing some quickie, $20 tarot card reading. So follow us on Facebook, Instagram, so you can find out where we'll be next. And so, Mel, cards. What are we thinking? I've got my Rider Waite tarot deck here.
I think you probably just wanna pull a couple of cards for the week. I mean,
Ooh,
it's pretty there's some pretty impactful stuff happening there.
there we go.
Wow, you mentioned that card and it popped right out.
Right? The Wheel of Fortune. Well, so for me, this wheel can go in your favor or not, just like the real Wheel of Fortune game. Like it's either gonna. I think this is the wheel that you're just kind of figuring out. Are you spinning it, or is someone else underneath there spinning that for you? Like who is in control of this wheel?
Mhm,
Who's driving? Do they have a license? Where are we
mhm.
going? You know, um, that's a
I
little
s
bit of what I'm seeing there. Like, where the hell
I
are we
always
going?
see I always see, like, with the Wheel of Fortune, I see the matter of perspective. Like, if you've ever been on a merry-go-round at the park, where somebody has to push you, and if you sit sort of out at the edge of the merry-go-round and they push you and you go really fast, like, it's a very dizzying and disorienting experience. But actually, if you can sit at the very center of the merry-go-round, kinda no matter how fast they push you, you can really stay oriented as to what direction you're facing. So, with the wheel turning, and to me, that just means like, well, when it shows up in a reading, it says the wheel is turning in our favor. Things are going well for us. Okay, good stuff is meant to happen. But
Mhm.
it also reminds you, like, sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down. And if you're down, you're coming up. And if you're on top, you might be brought down.
Yeah.
So try to maintain perspective as things are changing, because things are definitely changing. We are going through some big metamorphoses right now, friends, even though we might not be aware of it.
Yes, we are. And I do like this Wheel of Fortune card. Mel and I were just discussing something personal that I've, just kind of figured out during this retrograde season. I'm always affected by the eclipses. It's been the same damn subject ever since the one eclipse, Mel, that we had the big and it's been the same subject ever since.
Mhm.
But things are coming full circle, and I do believe that this is going to be a good week for people.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be in the way that you choose to take it. But I think
Mhm.
that there's just going to be some extra freedoms that we're going to be feeling if we can. Well, it's not if we can. Once we take the step that we've been measuring to take, once we finally push that forward, and
Mhm.
there's good fortune there. So
It's intense, but it's somewhat positive, and yeah, I just really wanna guide people to, like, stay at the center of your own experience, and, don't try to take on right now more than you can fairly take on,
mhm.
but, definitely be receptive to the good stuff that's coming in, because the energies for this week are both intense and positive. They're both, sort of under pressure, but also productive. Uh, so, it's sort of like, how are you gonna behave under pressure? And to me, that's a matter of perspective. Like, I am handling this, I am able to do this, I am capable, or, I don't know, I don't feel certain of myself. So, you know, I would say stand on whatever ground feels certain to you at this time, and make sure you maintain perspective as things are changing.
Yes, I wanna add one other thing. If you need support, ask for it. It's there. There's a whole to me, it's like kind of an old dial-up phone. Like, if you need help, like, if you need
Mhm,
support, go get it. If you need something to help you move forward, go get it. But also, I wanna point out something that that always just pops into my head. I don't know what it is. It might be like the Midwest in me or something, but I see that little person down here underneath the wheel, and I
mhm.
wanna say, "Check your tires." It's
Alright.
always about the tires with me, but it really is like there's something stuck on the wheel there, there's something stuck on
Mhm.
the tire. So just
Okay.
make sure, make sure
Nothing's gonna
that
slow you down. Yeah.
yeah, make sure you can't visibly see a nail in your tire, like if you're going out, just kinda look at it a couple of times when you get in and out of your car or, just pay attention to how much air is in your tires or something, but there might be something there. There might be something in the way that you're gonna run over, so just, keep an eye out from my Venus and Virgo Midwest heart to your tires. Tires are expensive, yo.
Yeah. Boots cost money.
Yes. So all right, and then the next card for next week. Bum, ba-da-da. Oh, I like that. The 10
9
of
of Cups. Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought him back.
Is that the way that goes? Yeah. Kinda like our dog with the squirrels now. She's she is fast when she wants to be, I'll just say that. I love the 10 of Cups. I love that of being accomplished, of especially, like, just, to me, those are 10 cups of, um,
9.
tears I've cried, sweat I've poured out, just
9.
I don't know, it's a whole lot of things, but I still have my wits about me. I still have the accomplishment of I didn't shed all of it. I
Mhm.
didn't give it all. I just gave some of it, and now I can sit back and say, "You know what? I know how to guard these things behind me. I know how to keep these things in a way looking pretty, looking nice." I think it's also a little bit manipulative though too, because you can have all those things looking nice behind you, your nice
Mhm.
full cups,
Mhm.
but we also can't see what's in them.
Right.
So
I like the Nine of Cups because to me, I think of cups like emotional investments. And so it's like
Mhm.
throughout the cups journey, we spill cups, we lose the contents of cups, we lose these emotional investments that we've made. And by the time we get to the Nine of Cups, it's like, oh, I have figured out a way to I have figured out how to maintain my emotional investments in a way that is satisfying and feels secure to me.
Right.
So, you know, it can make one seem a little smug. It can make one seem a little self-satisfied,
Mhm.
but so, be careful about that. Be careful about being, I guess, overly positive that you have everything under control when it comes to those emotional investments that you have. Make sure you're not being smug, but definitely, if you just realize that you've come to a point where you have these emotional investments, these relationships, these things that you're interested in, and you're maintaining them in a way that feels really stable and sane to you, pat yourself on the back for that and continue to maintain those investments the way you've learned to do.
Yes,
And
I
and
like
by
that.
that, I
Those
mean
are
relationships. When I say emotional investments, I'm talking about relationships.
right, right.
Yeah.
All sorts of relationships. Yes,
Mhm.
I agree. Those are emotional investments. That's a good way to put that. So thank you. Um, yeah, there's still a bunch of just yeah, yeah. Wow, this is going to be a week. I think it's going to be a really positive week, and I really like the tarot card reading. I think again, it's another really positive. I keep drawing cards, just looking, and I mean, it keeps
Mhm.
drawing some big major arcana, and of course, like the Seven of Pentacles. So,
Yeah.
what we're doing and what we're moving toward, and the things that we want, what we're like we only thought that we were working towards something before, but I
Mhm.
think our directions are changing, and I think our directions will continue to change until we find the path. Like Nadia Shaw always says, what's meant for you, you can pull away from it, but it will always just like slap you back, and you have to keep looking at those things, that thing like, oh yeah, yeah, I was interested in doing that. I was going to do that one day. That is going to come into play again, and you're going to
Mhm.
figure out a way to push that forward without
Mhm.
having to sit around and do a lot of emotional labor on it anymore. You've been doing that, you
Mhm.
know? So it's time to get moving. Yeah,
A
the
and
universe got some good shit waiting for you.
and with that, I would say, with that wheel of fortune spinning in our favor, with good things trying to happen for us, and like with the guidance to kind of stay on the leading edge of the changes that we see coming, that emotional stability that we're feeling, those relationships and those investments that we can rely on, we definitely want to maintain them well because we're going to be relying on them. This none of this Some of this is an inside job, but a lot of this is not an inside job. A lot of this change that we are going through is gonna be a collective job. It's gonna be a cooperative job. It's something that we all have to be taking part in, and that's why it's so important to take care of those relationships that you have that are strong.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to have a very strong and loving relationship with you, my sweet.
I love you too, baby. I'm so grateful
It's
for
really
you.
great to have a supportive, home life for sure, which is just awesome. So thank you. Okay, well, I was like, "Oh, I love my wife." Um,
Oh.
all right, well, I think, that about does it for today's show. Thank you so much for giving us some grace for last week's show. Unfortunately, I ended up in the ER and nothing big, just kind of some of my usual things that I'm dealing with. And so I don't like that we missed. We don't normally miss, but we will be back again next week at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time to talk about the astrology for the week ahead. April Fool's Day. We've got a lot that's going to transpire this week. And we really appreciate you choosing to hang out with us and to subscribe to our channel and to continue to hang out with us. And Thank you, Mel, for the Astrology Today segment and for allowing us to, talk about the astrology in a way that allows me to learn.
Thank you, Jennifer, for the excellent tarot card reading. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. And again, we'll be back next Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time for Astro Insights Live with a live tarot card reading.
Much love, friends. Much love. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you. Remember, you first and then everyone else.
Yes.